Shalom. Welcome back to Hebrew Literacy. Today we are going to be going through part of chapter 3 from the Hebrew book of Eichah. Eichah means Lamentations. Now you might have noticed some things earlier. Chapters 1 and chapters 2 of Lamentations, written by or spoken by the prophet Yirmeyah, they are, each one is an acrostic of the Hebrew alphabet, right? So chapter 1 verse 1 starts with an aleph. Chapter 1 verse 2 starts with a beit. Verse 3, gimel. Verse 4, dalet. Verse 5, hey. Verse 6, vav or waw with the ancient name, etc. You can see that it keeps going through each letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Okay. Chapter 2 is the same. So they both have just 22 verses, one verse for each letter of the alphabet. But chapter 3 is different. With chapter 3, we have triplets. So each verse, well, 3 verses rather, will represent one letter of the alphabet. So for example, verse 1 starts with an aleph. Verse 2 starts with an aleph. And verse 3 starts with an aleph. And then we move to beit. Verse 4, beit. By the way, you don't have to be watching this. If you prefer to learn auditorily, you can just listen. I am showing something on the screen, but I won't be drawing and detailing things on the screen today. Verse 5, beit. Verse 6, beit. 7, gimel. 8, gimel. 9, gimel. And then dalet, 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 etc. So it goes. Now, I hope that you guys are benefiting from this kind of change in style. This isn't permanent, don't worry. Just as we introduce the auditory learning, I also want to introduce this more rapid style immersion, hearing it in Hebrew and hearing the English with very little explanation for some true immersion. So I think I'll be doing this more often, not more than our normal methods, but like jumping into this kind of fast method sometimes to cover more scripture. And then gearing back down and doing our more detailed analysis both in our auditory classes twice a week and in our visual learning twice a week. Maybe we'll even do like that. Maybe we'll do twice a week auditory, twice a week visual, and every once in a while replacing one of those with a more rapid style like we've been doing. This, of course, was inspired by the fast we had for Tish B'Av. Some call it Tush B'Av. On fast days, on several days of mourning, it's traditional to read Eichah. All right, so let's get to it. Chapter 3 is 66 verses long, so this will probably be 3 sessions, each session consisting of, well, around, like 22 verses. Oh, it won't be exactly 22 because I'll finish a couplet, and 22 is not evenly divisible by 3, so probably we'll do either 24 or 21 for this first installment. Ani hageder ra'ah ani b'shevet evrato. Ani, I am hageder, the man. Ra'ah, he saw. Although you probably need to say who saw or who has seen to make it sound more appropriate in English. What has he seen? Ani, affliction or hardship. B'shevet evrato. Be, with the shevet, the rod. This is the same word. It can also mean a tribe, right? Or under a rod, with a rod of evrato, his wrath, his anger. Verse 2. Oti nahag vayolach choshech velo ol. Oti. Me, with emphasis. Nahag. He drove, like you drive sheep or something. Vayolach. And he caused to, this is Hifil from halach. He caused to walk. Choshech. Now, poetically, we're borrowing the beit from up above. Beshevet, with a rod, with a staff. Here, it feels like it should be be choshech, in darkness. Velo ol, and not all, not light. And I just want to comment that chapters 1, 2, and 3, this is what we call a Kinnot feeling of poetry, kind of like a solemn, sad lament, where the meter is sometimes a little off and such. That will be resolved later. Verse 3. Ach bi yashuv yahafoch yado kol hayom. Ach, surely be me or against me yashuv. So this is from the verb shuv, to return, and it is yashuv. It is a third person. He will return or he will turn, like change the direction. Yahafoch, from the verb hafach, to turn also. So he will turn back, he will turn yado, his hand. Kol hayom, all day long or every day. Now we have a satum. We finish with that triplet of aleph. Moving on to beit. Lamentations chapter 3, verse 4. Bilah v'sari v'ori shibar l'atzmotai. Bilah. So bala, this is beit lamed hey, if you're just listening, is to wear out, right? Like the miracle wandering in the wilderness was that our shoes and our clothes did not wear out. But this is a piel form of it. So it's like to cause to wear out. So visari, from basar, my flesh, ve'ori, and my skin. Bila, PL, he caused to wear out. He made wear away or waste away. He wore it out. Bila, he wore out. Vesari, my flesh. Ve, and ori, my skin. Shibar, another PL. So we have PL bila and PL shibar. Shavar is to break. Shibar is to utterly smash to pieces. Atzmotai, my bones. Etzem is a bone. Etzem, ayin, tzadi mem. Atzmot, bones. Atzmotai, my bones. Verse 5. Bana alai. Vayaqaph rosh utila'a. Now this is interesting. So bana literally, beit nun hey bana, is to build, right? To build, but it can have other meanings, like to build against, and that's what we have here. Look, bana plus al, alai. So to build against me. Well, before we were talking about Bat Sion, the daughter of Zion, that's Jerusalem, and her walls and all those sorts of things. So me, it's almost poetically speaking for Jerusalem, right? So he besieged me. Bana alai. He built against me. You could be literal. Vayaqaph. Yaqaph is from the verb nakaf. It's a pei noon. The noon disappeared. Well, it actually went into the kof there. And nakaf by itself means like to go around. To This is where we get the word nekufa, like a circuit, or pardon me, tekufa. And so this is a Hifil form, so to cause to go around. So vayaqaph, and he encircled, or he caused to encircle, rosh utila'a, rosh. Now, you might be tempted to translate this as head, but if you look at the next word, tila'a, tila'a is like hardship, difficulty, tribulation, poverty. So probably this is another rosh. We have a homograph, rosh number 2, which means poison. So poison and tribulation, or poison and hardship. Something bad and hardship. Could be like starvation even. It's being very poetic here. See, we have many variances in the text, right? Some say roshi. In the Greek, that's kephalen mu, that's my head, right? So it is actually translating as head, but it's adding a yod there, like my head is being encircled, and then this would be like a vav emphatic with hardship. But I'm going to stick with mine, poison or perhaps poverty and or starvation and tribulation. Verse 6. This is the third bait in our bait couplets. Verse 4, 5, and 6. B'machashakim hoshivani kimetei olam. With machashakim. This is from the word machshach. Machshach. You'll see this poetically as qasheto, something like this. Qasheto is like darkness, or choshech we already had up above. Darkness in verse 2. Vaylakh choshech. He caused me to walk in darkness, right? Nahag, he drove, vaylakh choshech, and brought darkness, or caused to walk in darkness. Now we have machashakim. Machashach is a dark place. So, machashakim, in dark places. Hoshivani. Hoshivani. This is Hifil from yashuv. He caused me to yashuv. He made me dwell in dark places. Kimetei olam. So, mate, this, sometimes you'll see mate used as a poetic word for men. So it could be like as men of antiquity, right? Or it could be from death, right? Like those who are long dead, or like the dead from antiquity. Like they're so dead, they only see darkness. They're only asleep. Okay, let's continue on. We have our satum here. So we're continuing now. Verse 7. Gadar. Gadar. This is Gimel, Dalet, Resh. Ba'adi. Ba'adi. Velo eitzah hikebiyd nechoshti. Gadar. Gadar, this is a verb where we get gedera from. A gedera is like a little stone wall where the stones are stacked stone on top of the next that would surround a settlement or something, or a piece of farm. Something to maybe keep the goats in. Gadar, so gadar is to stack up stones, to make an enclosure. Ba'adi. Ba'adi. So this is ba'ad with the suffix ba'ad, beit, ayin, dalet. This can mean a few different things. It can mean like a distance from something, like behind, or through, out of, round about. It can even have the idea of like for a benefit of something. Like ba'adi could be for my benefit. So it's interesting. So gadar ba'adi, this can mean he built a wall for my benefit, or he walled me off. Probably the more negative. Velo, and not eitzah. I went out, so I could not go out. I would not go out. Probably so that I would not go out. Hikebiyd nechoshti. Hikebiyd. Interesting. So he made heavy, really. Kaved is the verb to be heavy. This is a hifil. So he made heavy nechoshti. This is the nechoshet. Nechoshet, like the copper or the bronze of me. So probably my bronze, like the idea of shackles, right? Like you might say he made my irons heavy, depending on the time period this was written in. So in this time period, probably bronze was being used for chains and such. Verse 8. Gam ki ezak va'ashavea satam tefilati. Gam ki, even though, or even while, ezak, I cried out, va'ashavea, and I cried for help, satam. Satam is like to shut up. He shut up. He plugged up. Like you can do this to a well. You can satam a well. Tefillah, my prayer. He shut up my prayer. He closed it up. Verse 9, continuing with Gimel, triplet. Gadal derachai. He built up a wall. My ways, my paths. He walled up my paths. Paths. Begazit, with gazit. Gazit is a hewn stone, right? So it's like, so this wall is really sealed nicely, is what it's saying. Not just some random rocks laying around, stacked up like a shepherd might just do to keep sheep from going a certain way. Here he used gazit. This is a stonemason's work. Netivotai. So here with Hebrew parallelism, with the derachai, my ways, we have netivotai, my paths, mein pfad, riva, ayin, vav, hey, and this is a piel, meaning he caused twists. So my roads, my waves, he gadar begazit, he sealed them off, he shut them off with hewn stone. Netivotai, my path, riva, riv, there's a dagesh in the vav, riva, in ancient times it would have been ioah. He twisted them. Verse 10. We are now in the Dalits. Notice we had a satum. We finished that triplet. After each triplet, we're seeing a satum, like an end of section. Dov orev hu. Dov orev hu. Li. Ariya. Or arye or ari. We have kind of a defective spelling here. Some texts you can see some say ari, some say arye. It's actually ketiv the way that I read it. So the ketiv is arye, the full spelling for lion, but the kere is ari. The mistarim. Lamentations chapter 3, verse 10. Dove, a bear. You can maybe remember this as a dove. A dove becomes a bear and he's a dove now. Maybe he has a bear with a bird head. Orev. Orev is from arav, to set an ambush or to lay in wait. Who is he? An ambushing bear is he. Li, against me. Ari or Aryeh. It's written as Aryeh, right? If we ignore the vowels. A lion. The mistarim. In hiding places, the root being set there, right? Like Esther, I am hidden. Mastir is a place where something is hidden, like it could mean layers. One meaning is layers, in layers, like a lion in layers. Dov orev hu li aryeh b'mistarim. Verse 11. Derachai sorer. Vaypasheheniy samani shomem. Derachai, my ways, sorer. Sorer. So sorer can mean like to cause, to turn aside. It's a polel form from sul. So not to be confused, don't think this is an active participle from call or something. So the verb is not sarah, it's actually from sul. Sul is to turn aside. A polel, similar to a piel, it's a more rare binyan form, is to cause to turn, like to cause to deviate. So my paths, perhaps even more abstract, my steps or something, my paths, sorer, he caused to deviate. Vaypasheheniy. This is from pashach, which is to tear into pieces. It's a PL form. And he tore me into pieces. Again, looking back to the dove and the aryeh. Samani, from the verb seen. It's seen, yod mem, the yod went away, it's a hollow verb. Simani. He placed me, or he put me, or he designated me. It oftentimes works the same way as Natan. Shomem. Shomem is a participle from shamam. We also get shomema, a desolation. Schade auf Deutsch. Okay, and our last dalet from the dalet couplets is verse 12. Darekh qasheto, vayatsiyveniy, kamatarat lachetz. Darekh. Darekh, this is where we get the word darekh, up above. Derachai, now darekh. But this is the verb darekh. Darekh is to trample, sometimes to march. But the idea, when it's used with the word keshet, a bow, it's to bend the bow. You have these big, strong, powerful bows that hold a lot of energy, and so the soldier would have to put his foot on the bow to bend it. It's like trampling the bow. He bends it and he puts a string on. So to darekh a keshet, it's kind of a Hebrew idiom for to string a bow. So darekh qasheto, he strung his bow. Vayatsiyveniy, from the verb natsav. It's a pei nun. The nun is hidden, and it's a hifil. We can see because there's a yod there. And for natsav, like I mentioned the other day in one of the previous chapters, we are taught in the collection of the Mechilta de Shimon, the Mechilta de Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, that's like a midrash collection, that when you see natsav in scriptures, very often this is a hint that the Holy Spirit is present, that we have ruach hakodesh involved. So vayatsiyveniy, and he caused me to stand. He positioned me. So he strung his bow, and now he's positioned me like the matara, like the target. Matara is a target. Mem tet pesh aleph. Lachetz. Lachetz, for the chetz, for the arrow. We have another satum. Maybe this is enough for today. I think I'll just read through one more time verses 1 through 12. Chapter 3, verse 1. Ani hagever ra'ah ani beshevet ivrato. I am the man. Ra'ah, literally, he saw ani, like oppression or suffering. Beshevet ivrato, under or by the scepter, the staff of his wrath, the evra of O. Oti nahag, it is me. He drove, vayolach, and he caused to walk, choshech, darkness. And again, the bait feels like here, in darkness, velo o, and not light, or not in light. Perhaps triple duty for that bait. Verse 3, ach bi yashuv, alas, or indeed, me he returned, yahafoch, he overturned, yado kol hayom, with his hand, all the day. This hafach, it has to do with like overturning a city. So again, it's probably Jerusalem speaking. Venden, verwandem. Verse 4, bilah, vesari, ve'ori, shibar, atzmotai. Bilah, he caused to wear out my flesh and my skin. Shibar, he utterly shattered. Atzmot, the bones of my bones. Verse 5, bana, alai. He has besieged me. He built against me. Vayaqaph, and he caused to encircle me, to nakaf, like a tekufah. We have the cycles of the seasons, is a tekufah. Rosh, poison, literally poison. Utela'ah, and hardship or weariness. Verse 6. B'machashakim, in dark places, hoshivani, he made me dwell, he made me yashav. Kemete olam, like those dead from antiquity. Satum. Verse 7. Gadar ba'adi, he built a wall around me or behind me. Velo etze, and I did not go out, or I could not go out. Hikebiyd nechoshti, he made heavy my bronze, with the implication of probably bronze chains. Verse 8. Gam ki ezak, even though, and this is not like in Psalm 23, Gam ki elech, though I walk. We have very famously, Gam ki, was it? Gam ki elech begeit sal mavet lo irarak yata imadi, shitachal mishon techarhei menachemoni. Even though I walk through the valley of extreme darkness, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. This is different. Gam ki, even though, ezak, I cry out. And imperfect is continuing. Vashavea, and I make a plea for help. Satam tefilati. He has shut up my prayer. Verse 9, Gadar darachai. He walled off my paths, my roads. Begazit, with hewn stone, with gazit. Netivotai, my paths, my fad, ioah. He has made crooked. Verse 10, Dov orevhu. He is a lurking bear, a bear ready for ambush, an ambushing bear. Li against me. Aryeh or Ari, however you want to read that, a lion, the mistarim, in hidden places, in lairs. Verse 11, Derachai sorer, my paths, my roads, sorer. He disarranged them. Vaypasheheniy. Vayapasheheniy. And he has torn me to pieces. Samani. He has appointed me, has set me, placed me, given me as shomem, a desolation. Again, it's like Jerusalem speaking, right? Shouting. Verse 12. Darekh qasheto. He has bent his bow. Vayatsiyveniy, and he has set me, arranged me, kamatara lachetz, like the target for an arrow. Satum. And maybe I'll just do the haze, and then we'll be done. We'll do the haze. Verse 13, hey. Actually, let me get that arranged more nicely up top. There we go. Heviy bechilyotai b'nei ashpato. Heviy, Hifil from ba, he caused to enter, into, chilyotai, my kidneys, which could also talk about my emotions, my feelings, b'nei ashpato. Very interesting. In other places in scriptures, the children, the man is blessed who has many children, they are like arrows in ashpato, in his quiver. A quiver is an ashpat. Or actually ashpa. The ashpat of, usually you see it with a suffix on it, so. But here, heviy bechilyotai, he brought into my kidneys, b'nei ashpato, the children of his quiver. And of course, from the previous verse, we had lachetz, right? So we had the word for the chetz, for the arrow. Very nice poetry. Okay. Let me position that better. Verse 14. Hayiti sechok lechol ami naginatam kol hayom. Hayiti, I was, or I became, a sechok, a laughing stock. Lechol ami, for all of my people. Although we have some variances in the manuscripts here. Many say amim, right? For all the peoples. Which makes a little bit more sense when you think about it, rather than like what all the Israelis are laughing at Jerusalem. So this might be a textual corruption here. It might, or maybe it's supposed to make you think about amim, the whole ami, like he's just losing his breath and saying it from emotion. Neginatam. Negina is a song or music. Neginatam, their song, their music. Kol hayom, all the day long. It used to be quite common to have a kind of a song of mockery, which is funny. We do this in my family. When someone says something wrongly in a certain language, then we like sing a song about them, repeating, not about them, but about that phrase, like using it over and over again in kind of a funny, mocking way. Verse 15. Hisebiyaniy vamerorim hireveniy la'ana. Hisebiyaniy. The verb is sava, seen bait ayin, which is to be satisfied. To be satisfied. He has caused me to be satisfied. It's a hifil. Hisebiyaniy. He caused to be satisfied me. Vamerorim. You know maror. Maror we eat it at Passover, right? With bitter herbs, right? With bitter herbs or with bitter things. With the with the bitter herbs, with the merorim, with the bitter things. Hireveniy. Hireveniy is from rava, rish, vav, hey, and it's like to be full, right? Like we say again in Psalm 23 comes to mind. Interesting. This is like an opposite of some of those elements we had. So we had the gam ki, and now we have hireveniy. What do we have? We say kosi, my cup, revayah. It overflows. And so this is he caused to overflow me. La la'ana. La'ana. What is la'ana? Wormwood. Wormwood, a very bitter herb. Satum. So just one more time through the haze, because I did go all through the other stuff again. Heviy bechilyotai. Bechilyotai. B'nei ashpato. Ashpato. Heviy has brought into chilyotai, into my kidneys. B'nei ashpato. The children of his quiver. That's the chetz. A chetz is an arrow, right? Verse 14, Hayiti sachok, I became laughter, a laughing stock. Lechol ami, though many manuscripts say amim, amim. Septuagint translates it that way. For all of the peoples, let's just say. Or it could be for all my people. Well, I don't think so. Neginatam, neginatam. A negina, their negina. You might, if any of you who have ever worshipped with Chabad, right? You'll know the Hasidim. They have a nigun. Let's sing a nigun. It's like la 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ye little da 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 dee da 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 lie da 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 ya da 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 da. Anyway, so that's a nigun where you'll just have like this melody without even words, but just with feeling. So it's related to negina, but negina has words. Negina has words. The idea is it's probably a mocking song. Kol hayom, literally all the day or all day long. And finishing with verse 15, hisebiyaniy, or hisebiyaniy. He caused to sava me. He satisfied me. Like he filled me up. Not necessarily that you're so satisfied, but you're satiated. Can't eat anymore. Vamerorim, with bitter herbs, with bitter things, with bitterness. It could be the abstract bitterness in general. Oftentimes an abstract idea will be from a plural. Hireveniy, just like the psalm, kosi revayah. He caused to overflow me. La'ana, with, and there's no bait here, but it's implied with wormwood. All right, hope you guys are enjoying this, covering more material at kind of a brisker pace. Just going back, we did this before. People seem to like it. Don't worry, we're not shifting to this permanently. This is just in honor of the Memorial Day we had this week. And I want to see if you guys find it helpful to shift gears every once in a while like this. If you like what we're doing here, please consider contributing. This is how my family survives. And living over here in the Philippines, in the Philippine Islands. If you'd like to become a patron, I really would appreciate it. Just go to patreon.com/Hebrew literacy if you want to sign up for a monthly donation. And you can sign up for the whole year, and there's a discount involved in that. pretty hefty discount. And we have access. You'll get extra materials. I have a bunch of teachings and different things that are only for my monthly supporters. That's really appreciated. I really appreciate that. Or if you want to give us a gift, we always need things on Amazon. And Amazon ships to the Philippines. So, and sometimes we go by boat. We ship it to an address there in the States, and then we ship it by boat. It's very cheap, the shipping that way. That's very appreciative. If you'd like to give an Amazon gift certificate, we always need equipment, and there's stuff the family needs as well. And sometimes I get things for the congregation that way. And, sometimes we get talits and prayer books and Bibles and things like that as well. So if you'd like to do that, you could just get a e-gift certificate, and you could address that to Yirmeyah ben Avram at gmail.com. I'll put it in the description here. That's Yirmeyah, 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 Ben, Ben, Avram, Avrom. That's my Hebrew name, at gmail.com. And we'd be really happy to have that. Or you can always make a one-time donation at PayPal. Just please select for friends and family. It's the same as the Patreon address, but instead you type paypal.me. Me. And if you can't afford to help us financially, then please just pray for this ministry that we will keep growing, that the forces arrayed against us will not have any success. I wish you the best, and I hope you're growing in your Hebrew learning and really enjoying the spiritual richness that is there in reading things in the language of the prophets. Be well. Shalom, shalom. Sei gesund.